fantastic. So, welcome to Coffee with Markus on this wonderful Monday. What is today? August 28th. If you're a first time viewer here, this is what we do. We are having a coffee together, or whatever your favorite beverage is at this time of the day, wherever you are, and we'll talk about trading. I'll show you what I'm doing, I'm explaining what I'm doing, and I hope that this will help you in your trading, that you pick up some ideas, because that's the idea here of Tradier Hub, bringing different traders together, sharing different trading ideas to help you to formulate your trading plan. And that's actually what I want to talk about today, a trading plan. And one of the things is that I want to show you how I find the best stocks to trade. So Reuven, if we could share my screen, this way I could show it to you. So last week, we briefly talked about the way how I trade. And what I'm doing is I like to trade. Let me just choose a red color here, because then it's easy to read the wheel strategy. And here is how this works. First, I'm selling puts and I'm collecting premium. Now, step number 2, this is where I might or might not get assigned. And we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. And step number 3, if I am assigned, then I am selling covered calls and collect more premium. So basically, this whole idea is a premium play. So where you're not buying stocks, but you're selling stocks to collect as much premium as possible. Now, I want to give you an example so that as a super quick refresher, this will only take us a minute or less so that you know exactly what I'm doing here. And then I will show you how exactly I decide what stocks to trade. So let me give you a very specific example. Right now, here, for example, we see that on the scanner and the software that I'm using, which is the PowerX Optimizer, we see GM, General Motors. And right now, I have an opportunity to sell the 3250 put expiring 3250 put expiring this Friday. So this means that if on Friday afternoon, after the markets close, GM is closing above 3250, I just keep the premium, and I'll show you in a moment how much exactly that is. If it closes below, then I own the stock. I have to buy it at 3250, and I can sell covered calls against it. So first of all, before we go into more detail of how I'm picking the stock, let me show you if I'm adding this to the calculator, and let's see what happens if I were to trade GM. Right now it is trading at 33.30, right? I would sell the 3250 put expiring in 4 days. For this right now, I can probably get around 20 to 22 cents, and based on the amount of options that I would trade on my account size, which is 62, I would collect $1,364 in premium. Now, on an annualized basis, that would be 49%, and this is all good. And this is exactly what I did last week. I sold the 32 put for GM. I pocketed around $1,500. It expired worthless, so all is good. But what if you get assigned? What if GM drops to 32, 31, or 30, and now you have GM? Is GM a stock that you want to own? So this is where today's video or today's show is the first part of my trading plan, where I show you what exactly I'm trading. Because you see, everybody should have a trading plan. And for me, there are 5 elements to a trading plan. Number 1 is that you specify what exactly are you trading. And that's what I'm going to want to talk about today. Over the next few weeks, we take more a look at when exactly to enter. Number 3, when to exit. Then I do believe that it is important that your trading plan has some money management rules and position sizing. And number 5, some other rules. As an example, I do not like to trade on abbreviated trading days. What does this mean? As an example, here in the US, we have Thanksgiving. It is typically on a Thursday. And then on a Friday, we have an abbreviated trading days where it's only a half day of trading. I don't like to trade on those days. Another Other rule is make a mistake, liquidate, but we'll talk about those as we continue our journey together here in Coffee with Marcus on the Tradier Hub. So make sure that you're subscribing and tuning in, that you don't miss a video. So let's talk about, first of all, of what to trade. And I'm going to open it up and zoom in a little bit so that you can see exactly what to trade. So first of all, I like to trade value stocks. And how do you define value stocks? And everybody has a different criteria for this. So I want to show you my criteria for it. And then we are taking a two very specific example of value stocks that have popped up today as possible trades. So first of all, I want to make sure that they are profitable according to Google Finance. And I'll show you how exactly you can figure this out. And I'm showing you exactly today what to look for. Because you see, preferably, I want to see that they have profitable quarters, but profitable years are okay. Now, we know that in 2020 and 2021, we had the pandemic. So this is an exception. If a company like Nordstrom, for example, or Walmart or Target, which I consider value stocks, had a rough year in 2020 when they had to close down all of their stores, that is fine. But let me show you of how we find these first two criteria before I show you these other criteria, and we go through it step by step. So first of all, I want to bring up again GM as an example, just because I traded it last week and it is a possible trade right now. So you see, the tool that I'm using is the PowerX Optimizer, and everything here is built in. So I do see, for example, the income statement, where I see, okay, they are profitable over the past 5 years, right? But I also want to show you how to do it if you do not yet own the PowerX Optimizer, which is absolutely cool. Because this is where we can go to the good old trusted Google. And as we know, the Googles pretty much know everything. So what I'm doing is I'm opening Google Finance. So it's finance.google.com. Go to this page, and this is where you will see that underneath these charts, you have the income statements. And the first thing is that I take a look at the quarterly income statements, and I want to make sure that on a quarterly basis, it is orderly. The blue here is the revenue. The orange one is the profits. And we see that GM has some nice revenue together with profitability. No real surprises there. This speaks for a value stock. Now, I just want to show you what this would look like if you head over here and click on annual. So let's just do this. We click on annual. We can zoom in a little bit so that you see it. And for 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and 22, I mean, nice, solid revenue. That for me is the income statement of a value stock. Now, on the other hand, let's just take a look at, for example, a growth stock like Peloton, right? I mean, here we go. We have Peloton Interactive, and we take a look at the quarterly statement first. And the first thing that you notice here, looking at the quarterly statement, you see that they're not even making a profit. It seems that the revenue quarterly is pretty stable, but they're posting a loss every single quarter. Now, again, I don't like investing in companies that are producing a loss and hope that they will turn around. That is not what I have in mind. And if you're also looking at the annual statement here, the annual statement, this is where you see Peloton, for example, had tremendous growth, went from approximately $1 billion in 2019 to $2 billion in 2020. And then during the pandemic, everybody wanted to have a Peloton bike. It seemed this way. They went to 4 billion, and now, as you can see, the revenue is declining. At first, they were posting small losses, but now the losses have widened. So that is not a stock that I want to own. So I hope that this helps you when you see a positive example of what I'm looking for, and also a negative example of what I'm not looking for. And if this is helpful at all, do me a favor and click on like, and maybe you want to share this video with somebody who could use this information as we continue going through this. Also, as always, if you're joining us live and you do have any questions, post them right now in the live question box. I will not be able to see the questions that you're posting after the show. But if there's any questions while we are live, I can answer them. And that is your incentive to join us here live. Okay, so going back to GM, it fits all of our criteria of my trading plan here. So let's move on to the next elements of the trading plan of how I select these value stocks. So GM, profitable according to Google Finance. Let me just do this and go here. Check. Preferable profitable quarters, but profitable years are okay. Check. Next, what is a characteristic of a value stock? Well, for me, it is that it is paying a dividend. However, as you can see, for me, that's a rule of thumb and should be obeyed. But if everything else checks out, no dividend is okay. Well, this is where, again, we can take a look here in PowerX Optimizer, where we have all the information that we need right at our fingertips. And we do see that GM is paying a dividend, and the dividend yield is 1.09. And again, if you don't have the PowerX Optimizer, that is fine too. We can jump over again to our trusted Google Finance, and this is where we see the same information. This is where we see here some basic data, and we see, oops, there it is, the dividend yield of 1.09. So you can use free tools. You can use a pay tool like the PowerX Optimizer. It doesn't matter. You get the information one way to another. So this is here another check, and we are good to go. So let's continue down our list and see what other criteria do I have to identify the value stocks. So I like to see that the stocks that I'm trading have a PE ratio of less than 50. And I want to show you a couple of examples here. So as an example, right now, if we are looking at GM on the PowerX Optimizer, we see right here immediately, okay, the PE ratio is actually pretty low. It's 4.59. Right now, I believe that on average in the S&P, the PE ratio is somewhere between 16 and 20. I would have to look it up, so that's an educated guess. So this here is actually a nice and low PE ratio, which is the price to earnings ratio. Now, if you look at another extreme, one of everybody's darling right now, NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA, let's see what is happening here. And NVIDIA right now has a crazy valuation with a PE ratio of 244. And basically, it means that, if you're investing in this stock, it will take them 244 years until they basically, make their earnings based on the market cap. But we know that NVIDIA is just growing like crazy. Anyhow, this is an example of what not to do. And as always, you find all of this information on the good old Google Finance. So you also here have the PE ratio. And again, we are still looking at GM, and there it is of 4.62. All right. Going back there and looking at the other criteria of how I'm selecting the best stocks to trade here, let's actually jump back to my trading plan here and zoom in so that we can see it a little bit. So the next thing that I like to do is I don't want to trade super illiquid stock, or I don't know, penny stocks, stocks that are not big in terms of market capitalization. And therefore I say the market capitalization, I want to see 5 billion or more. Now, I also said it is okay to adjust to 2 billion until we make new all-time highs. Because as you know, especially last year, we were in a bear market. We were 25, 30% off the highs. And this is what we need to consider. This is where the market cap obviously is shrinking. So this is another criteria. And again, if we are looking here at the example of GE, where we see, okay, not GE, GM. GM has a market cap. Nope, I'm still having here displaying NVIDIA. So let's jump over to GM so that we see the market cap for GM. We see that GM, good old General Motors, has a market cap of $45 billion. So definitely exceeding the $5 billion that I want to see here. So these are my main criteria of how I pick the right stocks. Now I want to show you a few more things that I wrote down just for me to help me remembering a few things. Now, I like to choose stocks with weekly options because we talked about it last week. I like to sell options that have a fairly short fuse. I like the idea of weekly paychecks, and this is why I want to make sure that the stocks that I'm trading have weekly options. Also, want to make sure that the earnings must be after the expiration date of an option. Also, want to make sure that the stocks have a correlation of 0.65 or lower with other stocks or ETFs in the portfolio. And let me show you what I mean by this. I don't want to be overexposed in one sector. And this is why in PowerX Optimizer, we have the built in asset correlation where I can just take a look at the stocks that I own. And right now it is four stocks. Number one is PNC, NEE, CSIQ, and ALB. And we see here the correlation. A correlation of one means that they're basically moving exactly the same way. A correlation of zero means that they are moving in the opposite way, meaning if one goes up, the other one goes down. And around 0.5 means that they're not correlated, that they're doing their own thing. So for me, my cutoff criteria, as you have just seen, is a correlation of 0.65. And you see here that everywhere the correlation is lower than 0.65. And this is good. This is just another criteria for me that I would like to see, another check mark before I enter a stock. I don't like to trade leveraged ETFs. I don't like to trade biotech stocks. I don't like to trade Chinese stocks like Baba, Pinduoduo, and I don't like to trade crazy stocks. And I shouldn't do a check mark there. In fact, I should just say no, 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 no. And again, this is just for me. Everybody's trading plan is slightly different. This is my trading plan that I've developed over the years. I do believe that every trader needs a trading plan. So I hope that you have a trading plan there as well. Okay, let's, before I show you some more examples here and show you a couple of trades to consider for today, I want to take a look at the questions here from MM79. Really appreciate that you're here. So one of the questions is, if the stock price gets close to your put strike, would you consider rolling the put down and out to potentially get a better purchase price? And there's a follow-up question that says, would you ever roll to avoid purchasing the stock? First of all, no. And here's why. As an example, before I enter a trade, I have done this analysis. So it's a great question here. But you see, right now, if I'm selling in GM, the 3250 put, I made a decision, or basically two decisions. And the first decision is, yes, I want to own GM. I'm okay with this. This is why I'm showing you why I'm doing this analysis before I enter a trade. Again, step number two in the trading plan is that I want to determine when exactly to enter. But here, do I want to own the stock? Yes. And number two, am I comfortable owning it at 3250? And the answer is yes, I am comfortable at buying it at 3250. So regarding your question, would you ever roll avoiding purchasing a stock? No, because before I entered the trade, I already said, hell yes. Unless there's something that fundamentally has changed. For example, if between today and Friday, it is somehow announced that GM no longer produces cars and is now producing washing machines, as an example, right? I mean, it's something ridiculous and crazy like this that would completely flip their business model upside down. And therefore, I don't roll any puts to avoid assignment because, again, it is a heck yes. I love owning this stock. So I actually want to get assigned because right now, since it is trading at 33.13, I would be able to buy this stock at a discount. So it is a great question. And there are some traders who prefer not owning the stock. And that is okay. In this case, you would roll. For me personally, I am comfortable owning the stock. So now that we run through this example with GM, let's actually take a look at another example. If you want, I mean, it's completely up to you. That's why I appreciate you being here live. And if you would like to take another look at another example, just click on like. It's that easy. This way I know that what I'm doing here is interesting to you as we are having our coffee together. Let me just take a sip during this Coffee with Marcus show. All right. So another example here would be Qualcomm. And again, we're going down the list and we can use the PowerX Optimizer or we can use Google Finance. It's the same. I'm using PowerX Optimizer here right now because it's a little bit easier for me. I have all the information that I need right here. Because the question is, first of all, is oops, it's not what I wanted to do, not a B, it's supposed to be a P. Is the PE ratio smaller than 50? And it is 14.44. Does it pay a dividend? Yes, it does pay a dividend. The dividend yield is 2.92. What about the market cap? I want to see a market cap above 5 billion. Yes, we see it is 124 billion. Okay, so check, check, check. All of this is good. Now I like to take a look at the income statement, and I like to take a look at the income statement on a quarterly basis. Well, I want to see, okay, how are we doing here on a quarterly basis? And we're doing good. You see Qualcomm fairly stable in terms of the revenue, fairly stable in terms of the profits here. And this is where we can also then jump over to the annual statement, and we see the annual statement actually looks so much better. Qualcomm back in 2018 still operating at a loss, but then in 2019, which is now 4 years ago, really a nice and steady growth, not only in terms of revenue, which is the blue line, but also in terms of profits, which is the green bar here. So this is where I must say Qualcomm, definitely a stock that meets my criteria here. So again, this is where over the next few weeks, we're doing multiple parts to this so that I show you exactly how I'm trading. But this is where for today, I wanted to mainly show you step number one in the trading plan is what to trade, how exactly I do this. Over the next few weeks, we will talk more about when to enter, when to exit, money management, and position sizing. But let me know if so far you do have any questions and if this is helpful to you at all, because that's why I'm here to provide some information on how I trade. And again, not sitting here saying that you need to trade exactly the same way as I do. All I'm saying is take this as, I don't know, inspiration, as some trading ideas in the same way as you are taking it from other traders who are here on Tradier's Hub, because that is how ultimately you develop a trading plan that is perfect for you. Because the question always is, or I get asked this question a lot, what is the best trading strategy? Well, I'll tell you, the best trading strategy is the trading strategy that lets you sleep at night. If you're waking up in the middle of the night and say, oh my gosh, what have I done? Why am I in these positions? And you're worrying, then you don't have a great trading plan. A great trading plan is where you're waking up in the morning, looking at your positions, and you're still happy with your decisions that you made when you bought or when you somehow entered into the trade. I just say opening the trade because you might be a short seller. One of my friends, my best friend actually, Rob, he loves to sell short. That is his thing, right? So this is why I don't want to necessarily say that you have to buy a stock, but here I want to show you how I'm trading the wheel strategy. Now, as always, we like to keep these to 30 minutes or less so that it is easy for you to consume it. And especially if you watch it on 1.5 or 2 times, then you are done with this in 15 to 20 minutes. But as you can see, it pays to be live here because then I can answer your questions live. So make sure that you tune in again next Monday. I'm not quite sure. Next Monday might be Labor Day, so we're not. Next Monday is Labor Day. We don't know exactly what we are going to do, but you know what? The easiest way to do it is hit the subscribe button and hit the little notification bell, because this way you get notified whenever anybody here on Traders Hub is going live. And this way you can make sure that you never miss a show, because it even pops up on your phone, on your computer, wherever you are. All right. Hope this helps. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next Coffee with Marcus.